Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 209. Mr. Low, Fast, and Famous. Matt Elliott coming at you from down under. Here we go.
That was crazy. And then he came out here and shot my truck. So it was just things like that have motivated me to take the build to the next level, to try to sort of meet the levels that I've been looking at, but also hopefully inspire kids and whoever else to get into the scene as well.
Damn, son. Hey guys, one of the biggest upgrades I was able to make on Orange Slice is my lighting. Think about this. You've got your old school sealed yellow lights. You put in new United Pacific headlights, boom, quadruple the lightage. They look better, they perform better, and guess what? They're safer. So you've got LED options, you've got new headlight options. They look great. And honestly, we upgrade so many things with our trucks. Why not upgrade the lighting? When you do, think United Pacific. Here's the best part. You get to save 15% off all C10 products by using code C10Talk15. Save 15% off all C10 products by using code C10Talk15. Go to upcarparts.com. That's right, upcarparts.com. I don't think you'll forget it. Save today. Thanks, guys. Give them a follow on social media too, Facebook and Instagram.
Let me tell you what Melba's Toast is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth clapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What is up, my brothers and my sisters? Episode 209. Matt Elliott, Low, Fast, Famous. On the other side of the world, so we stayed up last night and we partied. Had a couple beers, made it happen. So get this out, hopefully, right now. C10 Talk Tuesday. Stayed up last night, hung out with Matt, made it happen. And then today, something pretty cool. The guy that I got Orange Slice from in Montana has a second house in Yuma, Arizona. He was up in the PHX at the airport picking up some family members. And I said, dude, let's hook up. So I called Grinder, Brian Good. I said, can you meet me downtown Phoenix area? Actually, pretty close to where Dino's, the old show was. And we got to do some cool stuff with the second owner of Orange Slice. So the guy I bought it from, who hadn't seen it in 3.5 years when it was a long bed, and he handed it off to me, Kyle, and Kevin Stickle, and we drove it from Great Falls, Montana to PHX. And along the way, we had that Eclipse, and it was the 3 Dudes 1 Truck episode 3.5 years ago, August. So that was cool, and I've kept him up to speed on the build with, the magazine and the photos and so on and so forth. So he sees that it was a long bed cut down. He sees that it's a short bed. He sees that it's ride teched out and US magged out and all the bells and whistles. And so that was cool, though, to let him see it, touch it, smell it, and drive it. And we got it all on video, so that'll kick out when Brian gets done putting it together. Something cool. Just thought, you don't get that opportunity all that often to kind of stay in touch with the previous owners of your vehicle, or you do, and they might just be like, all right, that's kind of cool. So we'll see. Speaking of Grinder, they've got a ton of content out. So their LST Lone Star Throwdown coverage is out. I think he did 2. This is the second one. Provost, we've been pushing that out. Provost Motorsports, they covered the 0.5 day, which was from Cali down to AZ, day number 1, which is our Wednesday, day number 2, which is Thursday, and then they got the trip back where John is headed back, and then they stop over at Empire Motorsports to do a shop tour. So that's out. Truck Hub magazine, I just got it today, ironically enough. I was hoping to have it before I interviewed Matt, but nonetheless, it came today, of course. So hot off the presses, you've got Matt Elliott, which is going to be Jaw Dropper, the vehicle, the guy, the dude, the truck we're going to talk about today. You've got the 65 that Dell just did. Now, the way that Truck Hub does it, sometimes they'll rotate the cover, so you don't know who's going to get the cover or what mag you're going to get. I got the one with Dell's truck on it, the 65. So you got Kevin, which Kevin Tate's C-Tane. He was back. What episode was he on last year? Like 180 something. Kevin Tate's. You've got Eric's 65, which is the one Dell built, which is blue collar. The formula on that truck is money. That's Dell's formula. Less is more. So clean, so subtle. Fat, lucky interior. That's Dell's recipe. So you got to love it. Some shows that we got going on, and then some reviews, and then bam, let's get you over to Matt's interview. We've got Barrett's going on right now here, so I don't know if I can get out there today, but for sure probably Wednesday, Thursday. And then we've got the Pro Touring Truck Shootout, which is going to be the first one out west here. That's going to be right here in Chandler, Arizona. Pro Touring Truck Shootout. So we're going to meet up on the 9th, which is April 9th. GSI is having an open house. And then the 10th and 11th, which is Saturday and Sunday, is going to be the Pro Touring Truck Shootout West. Following weekend is going to be Good Guys. And that got bumped because of Barrett. So usually Barrett's in January. Good Guys is this weekend. Well, Barrett moved because of COVID, and then that kind of bumped out Good Guys. So Good Guys will be April 16th, 17th, and 18th. LS Fest West, Holly just announced that they will have that in Nevada, which is going to be in the Vegas up at the Raceway there. That's April 23rd, 24th, 25th. And then Battle in Bama. So my first Battle in Bama, that's going to be April 30th, and then I think that's May 1st and 2nd. So Battle in Bama, we're going to have some tacos on the ship and really support Craig and what he's got going on out there. Looking forward to that one for sure. Let's get into some reviews and then get you on over to Low, Fast, and Famous, Matt Elliott. Talk about Matt, his page, and his 1979 Stepper. Who do we got here? We've got C10 Talk 5 stars by BT 1971 C20. Ronnie does a great job of representing the C10 Nation, even us with C20 trucks. Really enjoy the informative interviews, and I am proud to wear my new Keep Long Beds Long t-shirt because we cannot all be exactly the same. Money, BT 71 C20, thank you so much for that. You ain't lying. Great podcast, 5 stars by Jeff GMC 72. Your podcasts are great to listen to. I've had my 1972 GMC 1500 for 34 years. I was cool before these trucks became so cool. I'm currently in the middle of a long bed to short bed conversion with my truck and have been a little discouraged with the project. Listening to your podcasts are helping me forge on. Thanks again for the great content. Jeff GMC 72. Ironically, that you backed up against 1970 BT 1971 C20 because he's wanting to be long, and you've had your truck, which obviously was a long bed, for 34 years, and then you took the bravado to say, I'm going to change things up, I'm going to spice things up, I'm going to change my truck. That's awesome. So I wonder why you're having or being discouraged, or you're having some issues. So shoot us an email. Let's check in with Jeff GMC 72. Shoot me an email, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, and let me know what's going on. Let's talk about it. Let's see what struggle you're having. Now, this is from October of 2020, so maybe he's worked through that by now. But either way, Jeff, shoot me an email. Let me know how it's going. All right? Good luck, brother. One more, Always on Top, 5 stars by Shano5269. Ronnie, keep it up. I've been a squarehead since 93 when I got my first truck, which was an 87 Silverado, two-tone blue and silver. I was hooked from day one. I've been in the culture since 93 and actually graduated from Waxahachie, Texas, the C10 capital and the home of Acta Fu, which is Terry, the C10 mayor. I would like to believe I played a little hand in that moniker. Long story short, my first truck was stolen when we moved to Arizona, and we've built one truck since then, which was a little bit hotter and more custom, but nonetheless a blast. A decade later, and I meet you at a car wash outside of Hatchie, C10's in the Park 19, and immediately knew who you were and what truck you were pulling out of the trailer. I've since then caught the bug at a new level, and I'm always inspired by you and the C10 Talk team. Like I said, keep it up and look out for the Penguin, an 85 short fleet Chevy. Shano, there's a lot going on there. All right, 93, you get your first truck, and it's an 87. You're in Waxahachie. You move to Arizona. It gets stolen. That sucks. Freaking Arizona. But you're back in Hatchie because you went to C10s in the Park in 19, and now you're back and you're working on an 85 short fleet that's the Penguin. I think I got it all. Shano 5269er. Thanks for leaving the review. Thanks for taking the time. 5 stars. For you guys out there in listeningville, dude, let's get you guys going to the pod. Matt Elliott, New Zealand, Low Fast Famous, episode 209. You know what to do. We appreciate your support. If you need some gear, c10nation.com. If you need to leave a review, iTunes, wherever you're listening. Shoot me an email, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media. Let us know how we're doing, who you want to hear from. And that's it. Enjoy the episode. Have a great week, guys. Late. How about from the other side, in the future, New Zealand, Matt Elliott, a.k.a. Low, Fast, and Famous, baby. Matt, welcome to C10 Talk. We're stoked to have you, part of the C10 Nation down there. We can't wait to dive in and find out a little bit about Matt. So welcome, brother.
Hey, Ronnie. Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
So what's it look like in the future? You're about what? What did we figure out? You're almost 24. You're almost 24 hours in the future.
Yeah, I think, 20 hours, I think it is. So.
We're still alive. Everything looks okay.
Yeah, we're all good, mate. We're all good. Yeah.
I think we talked to Jason, 58, 59 slammed every now and then, and he'll chime in from Australia, and we're always checking in to see what the future looks like, and if we're still around. So is it kind of funny to be in the future?
No, it's not too bad. Just want to have to deal with people saying that I'm putting the wrong days up on my Instagram post, but that's about it, since most of my followers are in the States or places like that. So
yeah, I do see a lot of times where you'll specify, you'll say, hey, good morning, mates. It's Saturday morning here. And you walk us through it, making sure we know, hey, he's over there. He's in, New Zealand and or Australia. Probably people just think, hey, he's on the other side. Yeah. He's down under either way.
They normally just think Australia. That's all right.
Is that any type of, does that bother people from New Zealand? Do they say, hey, I'm from New Zealand, I'm proud of that, and being lumped in always to be considered from Australia?
Yep. There'd definitely be some people that would irritate, but I think, for me, it's pretty low key. Just got a basic Instagram page, and if people want to put me down there and they follow trucks and all that sort of stuff, it's all good.
Well, let's jump into that. Well, let's find out a little bit about who Matt is, and then we'll jump into your page. Who is Matt Elliott?
Oh, sheesh. Well, I'm just turned 45 a couple of days ago. So
happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. It was
here. Cheers to that, brother.
You're all stocked up. I'm going to have to make a trip to the fridge soon.
Oh, I did. I usually have a couple cold ones sitting here for the interview, so I'm ready to rock.
Beautiful. I live in a place called Papamoa, which is, I don't know, I guess most people would know where Auckland in New Zealand is. That's sort of the biggest city. So it's about 2.5 hours drive from there. It's on the coast. It's a sort of a beach town. Quite a bit of industry around, and for a day job, I work in sales, selling engineering consumables. So everything from nuts and bolts to gearboxes and chain and bearings and all that sort of stuff. And then, outside of that, got a wife and 2 kids, and into slam trucks and most things automotive. And as well as that, run an Instagram page called Low Fast Famous, and that sort of just as things do, just started from nothing and sort of became relatively large, I guess, in the scene. And it's offered me a few opportunities along the way with sponsorships and just getting connected with the right people at the right time. So it's been good.
Are you surprised that your page did as well, or it does as well as it, took off really?
Yeah, because I sort of started it like relatively at the start of Instagram, sort of back in 2012, I think it was, and it was more like personal focused from there. And then I was rebuilding my truck at the time and sort of used it as a platform to sort of approach, getting some interaction and finding potential sponsors or supporters, another way to showcase their product. And then sort of from there, it just sort of developed. I started posting other people's trucks and a few ladies here and there, and the followers just sort of took off. But I guess in the last couple of years, as the algorithms kind of changed, it's sort of flattened off a bit. Still have quite a bit of interaction, but as far as follower growth, it's kind of plateaued. I think I'm kind of shadow banned on a few things here and there.
I think we're about the same on for C10 Nation. And I guess because we were in early enough that the growth was, substantial, but it has flattened off quite a bit. And I'll see like somebody who's got a smaller account, and I'll look at or a picture will come up in my feed and it'll have like 8,000 likes. Do you guys see likes in New Zealand? Because I know in Canada, they don't see likes.
No, we don't see likes.
Oh yeah. I think if they took it away in the States, I think they played with it like about I'm gonna say 3 to 4 weeks ago. It said Low, Fast, and Famous like this and others. It just said and others. Whereas we see, I can see your likes. I can see when you post something how much you have. So that's pretty crazy that you don't see that.
Yep. So at the start I was probably doing 15 posts a week and getting 1,000 followers a week, easy. And now probably lucky to get 1,000 followers a month at the best. Yeah. So, but it's funny because you kind of get, on my page, it feels like you get a little bit handbraked for the female content, but that's the one they actually get that gets the most interaction. So it's I don't know how they're working out that algorithm, but someone on Instagram unshadow ban me.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit me up.
So where do you get that female content? Does it just come to you? Do you find it? I mean, you don't have to give away all your secrets, but your female content is, it's nice.
Well, I guess that's the one benefit of the Instagram algorithm, isn't it? Once you start looking at it a couple of times on your explore page, it just sort of starts coming your way. So it's just a way to, the audience hopefully is into that sort of stuff. I've run a couple of polls every now and then, and it's always like high 90s to keep it coming. A couple of posts a week just to switch it up, and in between the slam trucks.
Yeah, I could tell you that, like I said, because I can see your page and how it does, but you have a good algorithm on your own because the way you post trucks, slam vehicles, rad vehicles, cars, trucks, and then every now and then you'll sprinkle in a very, very hot female. And your females are this last one, my God, 3,000 likes. And then let's just take, for example, you've got Tanner's Soundworks truck, which is a sweet C10 that's for sale, and that's got just under 1,000 likes. So you can do the math. This girl's doing the laundry and looking very, very good doing the laundry. She's at 3,200. And then let's go down to, let's say, Lonnie's Ford here, a whole whopping 611 likes on that one. So so the female content is doing just fine for you. But a rad page for our audience. If you don't follow Low, Fast, and Famous, you should, because he does post high quality builds, high quality content. He puts it together very nice. And then every now and then there's a little something else sprinkled in there for you. Did you come up with the name Low, Fast, and Famous? Had you already kind of had that as a nickname or something like that? Or once you created your account, you said, hey, Low, Fast, and Famous?
Yeah. So to sort of come up with the Low, Fast, Famous sort of handle, I guess, when it came to creating an Instagram account. And actually I had it sort of bookmarked just before it started on Instagram. So I had a Facebook page that I was doing similar stuff, and a Tumblr. Back when Tumblr was the thing. So I was doing a bit of stuff on Tumblr and Facebook, had that handle, and then when Instagram came around, just sort of started generating it all from there. So yeah, and it was just just something to try to encapsulate sort of the lifestyle or what I'm into, and it's I like low slammed cars or trucks, big power, bit of boost if possible, and if all goes well, you're probably likely to get a little bit famous from that sort of stuff. So
yeah, and hot chicks too, so it works out.
The hot chicks didn't quite work on
yeah.
But maybe that
it works out just fine. How are things down there in New Zealand with COVID? Was 2020, I mean, was it kind of like for us here in the States, it was definitely a slow year. Car shows and truck shows and events had really slowed down, if not almost stopped. We were lucky we had LST, which is in the end of February. And then somehow, amazingly, we were able to have the Get Down. I feel like if the Get Down would have been 2 weeks sooner or 2 weeks later, we wouldn't have been able to have it. It's just, there was kind of a lull in what was going on here in Arizona where I'm at. And we just had it. But then after that, it kind of, some things peaked up, and I think they would have shut us down. But nonetheless, how were things down there?
Yeah, so it must have been about this time last year, I guess. We went into what they called like level 4 lockdown. So that was basically the whole country, you stayed home. So there's 5 million odd people in the country. They had some essential services, so supermarkets and hospitals and stuff like that. But other than that, you weren't allowed to leave your house unless you were doing exercise. And when you were doing that, you had to stay like 2 meters, what's that, 12 feet away from any other person. So like no contact. And that went on for about just over 4 weeks, I think. And so during that 4 week, our COVID cases went from 700 or 1,000 basically down to 100 or so. And then they relaxed it to level 3, which was, you're allowed to go back to work, but you had to, like all your work, you had to have like single entrance and exit. You had to stay like a meter away from your co-workers. You couldn't have more than 10 people in a room at a time and all that sort of stuff. And basically just carried on until it got it pretty managed. And we're in level 2 at the moment. So it's pretty much just normal living. You just got to be a bit careful about what you're doing. We have these apps and stuff where you need to scan in where you're going and all that sort of stuff. But the main thing is that obviously our borders are pretty much locked down. So if you want to come to New Zealand, you have to do 2 weeks of quarantine. So it's in a managed isolation quarantine facility from the government. And if you have to, unless you're a returning resident, you need to pay for that. So the government charges you for that privilege, I guess. So car shows and everything, we're all just as per normal. So I'm off to one tomorrow actually called Beach Hop in a place called Whangamata, and it's sort of like just all cars, all trucks. We normally get about 2,000 vehicles there, so it's one of the biggest ones in the country. But yeah, so until they do something with the borders, we're kind of stuck here. Like I've been hanging out to get down, do that whole sort of 2 or 3 show good guys and all that sort of stuff, and it's just not going to happen for the short-term future anyway. If I'm going to stick in a hotel for 2 weeks when I come home, so
yeah, they need to get rid of that. That quarantine part is probably not favorable for somebody traveling.
No, well, it's quite. I don't know if you follow like the UFC or anything like that. We've got a few Kiwis that are fighting in that, and they've done like 2 or 3 fights so far. And so every time they come back, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks, which is pretty intense. But
yeah, you think they could test, right? I mean, they could just test and see if you got it before you had to quarantine. I flew out of country to Turks, and we took a test before we left, and then we tested before we left there. So we tested to get into Turks, and then we left. We took a test to get home too. So I don't know. It sounds like though in New Zealand though, and everything that I've read, your numbers have been very low.
Yeah, but I guess it just helps. Like, right, we're basically 2 islands, pretty much. With 5 million people, we're pretty small in the grand scheme of things, and
sure.
it's just something you can't do that you can't like tell everybody in the USA to stay home for 4 weeks while we get this under control, you know.
You could try, but they're not going to listen. That's actually the proof. That's why Arizona, we thought we were so good for a while, and then at one point we were, and this kind of leads into the get down. We ended up being like the 50th worst state of all, because I think we just waited, and then they just, it's a little bit of the Wild West. So, and we're spread out too. It's just that we're, like in New York, they're on top of one another. Here, we're pretty much spread out. In theory, Phoenix isn't. One thing I looked up was your population is like 5 million. Phoenix Metro is 5 million. So it's about it's about the same. Now, obviously, we're, in just the Phoenix Metro area. So,
so we had like 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was like an airport worker that got quarantined somehow. They don't quite know how, and they get tested every couple of days, but she went home and like saw her husband, and then went to work the next day, and the daughter went to school. And then all of a sudden, like within a day, we had like 15 or 20 cases, and then those people had gone home. So Auckland, this was all in Auckland. So they just locked Auckland back down. So they blocked Auckland off. You couldn't get in or out of there. So government doesn't seem to muck around when it comes to containing it, but then I guess there needs to be a bit of a long-term solution somehow, otherwise.
Are they starting to do the vaccines down there?
Yeah, I think they have for certain like age groups and demographics and stuff like that. So
okay, cool. Yeah, that's it. They just want to get control of it. That's what they're looking to do. So I'm sure the audience is plenty full of COVID.
Hearing
COVID. So let's jump into this truck. So you've got the jaw dropper. Now, I want to say at some point, I'm waiting on the Truck Hub. I literally was hoping it would come. Super congratulations. I mean, off the charts, cover of Truck Hub magazine, their 3rd issue. I can't even, I mean, that's got to be almost the pinnacle at this point, to be on such a high quality publication, to be on the cover. Walk us through this journey, because somewhere I read that, this has been a long journey. I want to say you either posted or something where it was like, it's like a 13-year build that you've had this truck.
Yeah, so I guess just quickly, like on the Truck Hub thing, man, I nearly dropped my phone the other morning when Rodney sent me that DM with a picture of the cover, because although I knew they were doing a feature on the truck, it was just like there was no way. In my eyes, there was no way it was going to end up on the cover, because you look at the first issue with the Kindigit truck, and then the Creative Rod and Customs trucks, and then just some of the other ones. It's like, in my eyes, those are a whole different level from where I'm at. So big thanks to the Truck Up guys and Rodney and Robert and Stephen, because they definitely freaked me out that morning when I woke up to that message. But the truck, I guess I bought it. It was already imported into New Zealand and had a simple bag job in 2007. So it's been through I guess this is version, I guess if you break it down into versions, this would be version 3 from when I've owned it. So the first version left the bags pretty much the same, so it wasn't even close to laying out. It was probably 3 inches, 2.5 inches off the ground when it was aired right out. I guess the one thing that it's sort of known for is just having like a super clean engine bay. And that was initially driven by a guy called Nikia Klaus. He worked at a place called Iron Rides back then, and we sort of had the same vision for the engine bay, which was just super clean, can't see anything, like people look in there, wonder how it runs, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And somehow we've managed to carry that right through to the to what would be version 3 with a supercharger and all the crap that goes along with that. But version 1 just shaved everything. So shaved door handles, mirrors, cleaned up the bumper, sort of made everything one color, which was the House of Color tangerine orange, and just made it real clean. Put a new motor in it, which was just a GM Performance ZZ383 crate motor, and just made it a real clean driver basically. And I guess down here it was classified as a show sort of vehicle, but it was a show vehicle driver. And with that version, managed to actually got on the cover of a local magazine, New Zealand V8. So for me, that was a bit of an accomplishment back then. I'd always sort of wanted to have a feature vehicle. So that was 2010. So I bought it in 2007. That was 2010 when sort of finished that. And then just happened to come across, sort of pretty much immediately after that build finished, sort of come across a Pro Charger that was on, it's called Trade Me down here, but it's kind of like eBay, I guess. So I snapped that up. And then in 2012, did version 2, which body-wise, not a lot changed, but sort of put that supercharger on, kept the engine bay as clean as possible, gave the interior a refresh with a place called Action Canvas. Had 2 other guys like quite heavily involved in the build then, Jason from JS Engineering and Corey Abbott. So they did a lot of the fabrication and wiring. And then got some intro wheels for it. So just changed up the wheels, put some big billets on it. Well, not big, but some billets. And that was sort of version 2. And that sort of kept things going for a couple of years until you might read about it in the Truck Up magazine. But my wife.
So you bought a C10 and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. In most cases, the SureFit systems will be controlled by your stock dash controls using their exclusive cable converters. In some applications, a new factory look control panel is included with the kit. The SureFit systems provide full OEM style operations, including air conditioning, floor or vent heating, and a powerful defroster. To retain a true factory look, the AC air exits through the factory dash louvers, if originally equipped in your truck. The Gen 4 kit provides infinite, just right temperature, air blending, and blower fan speed adjustments. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Add the fact that Vintage Air has been the most respected name in performance aftermarket climate control systems for 40 years. 40 years? Damn, son. The choice is obvious. VintageAir.com. Hey guys, I've got Bobby from PSI Conversion on the phone looking at LS LT based motor swaps. Bobby, why should we choose PSI Conversion?
Ronnie, our harnesses are made right here at home in the U.S. Our product lineup includes the early 90s Gen 2 LT motors, Gen 3, Gen 4 LS VotorTech motors, and Gen 5 LT and LT4 packages. We have transmissions ranging from automatic 4, 6, 8 speeds, and soon to be released our new 10-speed, in addition to all the manual options out there.
Wow, you guys cover everything. How do you deal with intimidation factor when a customer is doing their first LS or LT swap?
Great question, Ronnie. But the thing is, there's nothing that we haven't seen here in the LS and LT world. If you grab almost any motor out of a junkyard, you want to Frankenstein to build together or even supercharge it. Leave it to our sales team to help guide you along the way to the products that you need for your restoration. We have over 10 years of experience in the market, a tech department that is available to help troubleshoot and diagnose any issues or questions that you have along the way while installing your PSI products. Couple that with a staff that is going to be standing by our product with pride, made right here in the U.S. to a GM quality standard. Our team is happy to get you wired up and fired up.
And don't forget, guys, use code C10TALK and you'll save 5% off your order. PSIconversion.com. PSIconversion.com. You want to save 5%? Use code C10TALK at checkout. Thanks, Bobby. You've heard me talk about my gauges. Dakota Digital. I love them. Don't forget the interior of your build. Dakota Digital has the best gauges for our trucks. Whether you want a direct fit into the stock bezel or something custom. These kits are complete with sensors for any engine. The new RTX series is really incredible. I think it stands for retro, but it should stand for rad. They look just like the stock clusters, but have all the technology you'd expect from Dakota Digital. You can change the lighting colors, customize the reading in the message centers, and do it all from the mobile app. That's right, the HDX and RTX series have Bluetooth technology, so you can mess with them from your phone. Just don't do it while you're driving. I mean, literally, I can have Yellowstone. I'm looking at RPM, trip odometer, percent fuel, oil pressure, and now I have the GPS set up. I can tell you direction, elevation, and even outside temp. Damn, son, it's like a modern truck, but even better in a classic. Dakota Digital is absolutely the best in aftermarket gauges, so check them out at dakotadigital.com. dakotadigital.com. And you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook too.
You might read about it in the Truck Up magazine, but my wife did the nice thing of buying me an AccuAir E-level system, and I think it was like Christmas 2014, I think. That's when she got me that. So, because before then it just had the typical AVS control box with some manual valves, and it's a little bit hairy trying to get the ride height right all the time. So it's good to move into the future. But as things progress, put that went to fit the AccuAir up, and then we're like, we're here. It's only another 2 inches to the ground, so let's start chopping, and did some control arms, some drop spindles with another 1/2 inch on it, and then got the frame laying on the ground. And then the big thing was basically, what do we do with the step side, because the steps with a 20-inch wheel on the back were nowhere close to hitting the ground. So what you see in the magazine, all the photos of it, is basically it's a whole new tray that's been built. I went through this with the Truck Up guys, but they call all the thing, what you guys call the tray and the steps and the guards and stuff, all a little bit different over there. But basically the guards have been like stretched out. So stretched out about 2 inches taller, and then the steps are all custom made. So they're 2 inches taller as well. So now when it all sits on top, it lays out flat with the cab. So yeah, version 3 is 79 C10 step side, lays flat on the ground. Most step sides that you see, the steps are a couple of inches above the ground when they're laid out, and this is just completely laid out. I was lucky enough to hook up with a company in New Zealand called DTM Wheels, and they helped me into some American racing wheels, so that was pretty cool. I'd always wanted to put a 12-inch wheel on the back, so got 20 by 12s on the back with a 345/30, which is basically, until you go to a Mickey Thompson or something like that, it's like the fattest tire you can get. So that's about where we're at. So gets driven probably once a month or so. Take it out for a drive, and there's not a massive truck scene in New Zealand, so there's not like big truck only shows that you go to, but there's enough shows on. So it's cool. And the other big thing there was that it managed to get, it was put back on the cover for NZV8, and it's second for the second time, which I think there's only been one other car that's made the cover of that magazine twice, and so mine was on the cover in 2010 and 2020. So pretty lucky that the editor there's got a bit of a fiction for square body, so I'm sure that helped out with Todd and Marcus and the guys there.
Well, you know what? That's a perfect segue to just say, okay, so the truck's already imported to New Zealand. Were you wanting a square body, or you just wanted a C10 and squares were more abundant, and you save a ton of money because you don't have to import?
No, I didn't really have a model or a brand either way. And to be honest, I wasn't actually looking for anything. I just sort of stumbled across it one day. But what I did like back in the day when I was a kid with the old Tamiya radio control cars and stuff, don't know if you remember, was the Midnight Pumpkin, which turns out it was like a 40F1. But I like the whole big guard thing. So
yeah,
when I saw this truck available, and from the rear, it always looks pretty cool with the big stepped out guards. And we came pretty close to putting a fleet side on it. I had one. I bought one in New Zealand and had it sitting in the shed, and was pretty close to putting it on, because it would have been so much easier. But it's just one of those things where you're so far into it, and you don't. If you put a fleet side into it, there's just thousands of them around, and you don't see many step sides laid out like this. So that was sort of the driver behind it, I guess.
Yeah, we don't even see that. I mean, we do, but we don't see that many step sides. I don't know what the ratio is, but it's probably, I'm completely pulling this out of my ass, but I'm going to say like 25 to 1 that we see a step side to a fleet side. So we don't see that many step sides. I do think a step side and a square, I guess if I had to choose, I'd probably say a square is probably my favorite of the three C10s. Now in the OBSs, the 88 to 98s, they made I think they called them though. What did they call them? They call them flare sides. I want to think they called them something else. I'm trying to think what that is off the top of my head. But either way, it's still a step side, in the 88 to 98. They look pretty cool too. They look pretty good. And I for whatever reason, I'm just not a big fan of them in this, especially in the 67 to 72. I've seen people, we've seen people do everything with those beds. We've seen people put a square bed on a 67 to 72. I've seen OBS step side beds like crazy put on C10s.
Yeah.
So I think that you did it. Going back, whether maybe I'm trying to say maybe it was like the Pumpkin Express or whatever, one of those trucks, like you said.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was. I know which one you're talking. Growing up, it was. What the hell do they call it? I think there's even a song about it. It's a common song, and there was a name, but that you picked the orange and you picked it sounds like did you pick the House of Color, Tangelo? Is that what it was?
Yeah, so when the truck came in, it was already painted orange.
Oh, it was?
But it's basically the whole truck's basically been repainted again. It's not through its cycle. But yeah, I think the 67, 72 step size, I think they tend to get laid out a bit easier because their whole guard profile is already quite big at the front there, whereas the square bodies, it's like, tucked up so far. But
yeah, and it's almost like you had to, for the description, like a Tri-5 truck or even a first-gen advanced design truck, that step goes all the way down where the frame is higher. So it's easier. Well, you're not going to lay frame, you're going to lay step. And so for you extended the step down. Is that what kind of you extended all that and the tub itself down, the outer tub, fender flare?
Yeah, because when with the 345s on the back and the original tray as low as it could go, the step was still like a good 3.5 inches off the ground. So everything just had to sort of be brought down in proportion, and that's where, Nakia Klaus was kind of instrumental in cutting those guards up, and because you don't want the guards to be too fat, you got to get the right profile. So when it's sitting at right height, the guard's not right above the tire or too low. So he did a real good job in getting that all lined up. And then Corey Abbott and Jason Sellers at JS Fabrication, they sort of completed everything off and did the steps and all the other stuff in the tub. So
if you go back to your engine bay, did you kind of orchestrate that, creating that engine bay and making that engine bay so just clean? And was that a vision of yours?
Yeah, I guess like first off, like I'm not mechanically minded by any chance, but happen to know a lot of people that, are. And I guess we've all sort of got similar tastes, and that's just looking at just hot rod builds in general and just like looking at engine bays and just wanting, big inner guard. This was, you got to think back in 2010, I think Slosh Tubbs was probably just starting. Heartfab wasn't doing his stuff. Like you had the trailer, people doing the trailer stuff on the inside.
Using trailer, everybody was using trailer fenders for their inners.
Yeah, and then just squared straight off on the inside, and that was it. So it was all about sort of looking at that and then taking that to the next level, like what that may be. And then of course you get started and you're like, okay, well that panel should come down and cover the inner chassis rail. And then in version 3, which hopefully, I haven't seen the Trucker magazine either, but hopefully they put these photos in, like you can't see anything. So you look in as if you're looking into the front of the engine from behind. You can't see the radiator. You can only just see the fan. You can't see any of the frame rails. You can't see nothing. So it's all about just making the whole thing as clean as possible so that you look from the cowl, I guess, and it rolls down through the inner guards up into the firewall as one seamless sort of piece. So yeah, don't ask me to disassemble it at anytime soon. Just after we got it on the road and on version 3, we had a coolant temp sensor fail, which involved pulling quite a bit of stuff out. So it goes together in a real weird way. You'd never imagine it.
A pain in the ass is what I'm hearing. Is New Zealand like Australia when it comes to your road and qualifications, like drivability? It seems like when we've talked to and or interviewed people from Australia, they have a lot of restrictions that they are not allowed to, air and, any type of chassis manipulation. Then it has to be inspected and approved and so on and so forth. How is it down there?
Yeah, so we have a thing called a low vehicle volume certification. So any modified vehicle has to have that, but it's pretty good. There's like a guideline on what you can work with, and we're definitely a lot less strict than the Australian guys are. Like they have to have the handbrake thing on the AccuAir and all that sort of stuff. Whereas, yeah, there's quite a few products from America that are already pre-approved.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you just work with an engineer as you're doing your build, and he just ticks off things as you're going through there. And you get to the end, and you get it used to be a plate that you attached to your chassis, and it listed all of your modifications. So on mine, it's like this big, and it's got everything from shaved doors to supercharger to the size of the wheels to everything.
So you're saying that you have to submit to like a department state engineer and say, this is what we did, this is what we're doing step by step, almost like in the States, if you're building a house, you have a guy comes out and a city guy comes out and says, okay, you're check, you passed inspection, an inspector. Do they come out and visually do it, or do you just send them some pics?
Yep, no, they come out and do it. Yeah, so a bit of a
I can't even imagine building a truck and having a guy come out, or a girl, somebody, a person come out and inspect. That would drive Americans batshit crazy just because we're so spoiled. Like, I'll show them. They can't I'll build this the way I want to build them. We can't even get guys to wear masks, let alone call an inspector to come look at your truck and then prove that that has a gusset plate. It's been welded. It's passed. That's crazy.
Yeah, so there's pre-approved stuff like, I don't really know all of them off the top of my head, but say like an I Did It steering column. That's pre-approved. You just show them your receipt of the distributor in New Zealand that you bought it from, and that's all good. All the Borgenson stuff, that's all good. But if you use something other than that, or you use control arms from XYZ, and they don't know, you'll probably have to go and get those crack tested, and then they'll sign them off. But if you use them from a reputable manufacturer that's on the list, then it's all good. They just sign that stuff off.
Are you driven to go off the list then? So you don't have, I would think that I'd want to get a hold of the list and buy, whether it's CPP, Ride Tech, whatever it is, because I don't want to deal with the inspector. I'd rather have the stuff that's already previously, like you said, a reputable company that's been inspected.
Yeah, well, that's probably the main reason why my truck's like stock chassis, but modified front and back. Whereas at the moment, like a company like Roadster Shop, which looking back on it would have been should have just done that, but they're not on the list. So you'd have to get that chassis to New Zealand, and then work through. They would have to provide us all the details on how they manufactured it and constructed it, on how they welded it, and all that, and then you'd have to submit that and get it like approved, I guess. So some things that seem real easy just aren't, but things may change in the future. I think you can buy like Art Morrison chassis rails. They're all good. So you can just buy those, get them and show them where you bought them from.
They're
nice and easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So almost one of these vendors is almost want to get their stuff approved. Depending on how many chassis they're selling over there. So let's say you're going to Zia frame, you're going to do a big step in the back. Does that, where your buddies that are running their shops, they just do a step-by-step, almost like a build thread, and hey, boom, we cut it, we welded it, we Z'd it, we did this, and then a guy comes out and checks the welds and inspects it and says, okay, you're good. And then do you actually have to pay? For one thing, in the States, again, just from doing home stuff, we have to pay that inspector, right? So we have to pay a fee. Do you have to pay a fee?
Yep. Yeah, you're paying for every step along the way. But I guess it's a bit of a process, but I guess it's something that's like satisfied the government as well, because they were really focusing on modified vehicles back then. So now it's like sort of channeled it to a place where if you've got this certificate or this cert plate, you've followed the processes, you're all good. The cops leave you alone.
Sure.
I never get pulled up or anything, touch wood, before I go away on a 5-day trip. But they can see that you've put in the investment, so you haven't cut any corners, sort of thing.
And has that been a long, like, if you look back as a guy who's been into this stuff for 20 plus years, or even maybe talk to builders who are older guys that have been hot rodding or doing custom stuff, was that the struggle is real? Like, hey, back in or back in 1992, we didn't have shit. And at least now we've evolved to the government providing an inspector. You come out and you can have a modified vehicle, whereas back in the day you couldn't.
Oh, back in the day there was modified vehicles everywhere, but it was very unregulated. And I think it was getting to the point where they were going to do something about it. And then these sort of like elder hot rodder guys sort of came in and like started this this company or this group. I don't know quite what you'd call it, but they sort of like facilitated between the hot rod community and the government and came up with this program. And I think it works pretty good. Yeah.
Do you schedule your stuff? Does it take like 3 days? Like, okay, hey, we've done some chassis modifications or the control arms or something to, the engine or the chassis. And then you call ahead and say, hey, we need to, send Louis over. And you say, okay, in the next 3 days, he's going to walk into the shop type deal.
Yeah, I think a lot of it can be just done by the photos and stuff. So you'll probably sit down with them at the start and like go through a bit of a plan on what you're wanting to do. And then the inspector will just sort of lay out what he's expecting to see from you as you go through there. And there'll be a bit of a mix, I guess, of photos and visual. And then right at the end, they do like an actual good visual inspection where they go over the whole thing and sort of check it all off and take it for a drive and make sure the brakes work and all that sort of crap. So
yeah, it's I'm hearing you, but it's kind of crazy to think like we have so many garage builders and just backyard shop guys that are. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that I see some vehicles in the States going down the road. A lot of times for me, it's just tires. Like these people are rolling around on these flat tires, and you just look at their car and you're like, dude, that's just an accident waiting to happen. And then in my line of work, we get the other end too. We see what happens when somebody does have an issue mechanically or a tire or something like that. So
yeah, it's one of those things like you sort of it can be a pain in the ass, but then you look at the Australian guys, for instance, and they've got it a hell of a lot worse than us. So it's like, just be happy with what you got. And then, at least I'm cruising along and I can lay out if I need to or whatever, whereas I don't even think they can legally change like wheel sizes too much, from one to the other or whatever's going on. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a process for sure where you think that somebody is, I just like the mindset of what you're saying, where it's like, hey, it could be worse, right? Because we're spoiled. I mean, we really are. We can kind of just do whatever we want. People are going down the road, and just flying by the seat of their pants. I mean, the biggest thing we have in Phoenix really is just you got to make sure you have it licensed. If it's licensed, then it's good. And rock. So going back to what you actually have done on your own and or teamed up, you're the visionary. You kind of sound like you're on social media, you're looking through magazines, and you're coming up with a conceptual idea of how you want Draw Dropper to be. Is this how you envisioned it to be when you think about going back to when you started maybe phase 2 or phase 3?
Yeah, I think the end of phase 3 is definitely, where I wanted it to be right from the start. I'd always wanted like 20 by 12s or 12-inch wide wheels on the back, and wanted it laying out, and wanted a bit of power. So it's got a supercharged small block in there, well over 500 horsepower to the wheels. It's got big wheels, lays out. Still managed to keep the whole. I'm all about the like simple yet effective sort of. Philosophy, I guess. So it's all clean, all real clean, all one color. Nothing too out there, but if you put it next to a standard square body step side, you're going to look at it and go, holy shit, like what's going on here? It's got little subtle things. It's got like a little little wing detail at the back, which is replicated quite a few other places through the truck if you actually look at it. So yeah, no, it's exactly what I was after.
Do you ever follow excuse me, do you ever follow Poised Hipster, which is Mike Moonbeam? He's got let's pull up his thing here. He's got the white square that's got a narrow
with a narrowed square, narrowed fleet side tray, and
Now that's something that's definitely different.
Yeah, I saw him. Saw him when he was doing that because who did Cisco did that for him, right?
Yeah,
some work on it. I think it was
Cisco. I feel like he was doing some stuff at Tray 5 and Eye Candy as well, but it was
might have somewhere. Yeah, I saw it. I was like, oh, that's
probably was Cisco.
That's quite a good idea because he probably, I haven't communicated with him, but he probably happened upon the same problem that I had. Was he had the rest of it laying out and just couldn't get that tray or those guards to look right at the same time. So,
and just to make sure for the audience, if you don't follow Mike, it's Poised Hipster, one word. And what he has is he's got a early square with a step side. But what they did is they took fleet side bedsides, and they made a narrow box, like a narrow, essentially a 4 foot wide, no inners. And then they took those step side fenders and then they morphed them on and dropped it all lower. So if you just look at it at a glance, it looks like a step side. But then when you dive in, it looks like a really narrow fleet side bed with almost kind of like a dually would be, because a dually's got a fleet side with a kick out. But instead of using dually fenders, they used normal stepper fenders. So it's a very cool truck. It lays low. He lays it all the way down and it runs hot. I mean, he's got a beautiful ride there. And I think, the step sides definitely stand out because like you said, there's a million fleets and a stepper is something that you're like, oh, damn, look at that one, and in your case, it's like, oh, damn, especially with the orange. I'm a big fan of the orange and the orange just pops for sure.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's good. That House of Color paint, definitely.
Is there anything that you look back besides the bed that you guys struggled on, or you decision wise as a project manager, struggled with?
Oh, we had a few issues with windscreens. So
what do you mean windscreens?
Oh, like what do you call it? Windshield?
Oh, windscreen. Yep. Windshield.
So it's got a Fessler flush mount glass.
Yep.
So, being in New Zealand, obviously the first one took about 8 months to get here.
You have a lot of patience, my brother. Yeah, you have a lot of patience.
And we sort of sit, me and my mate Corey, we sort of having a couple of beers and we set it up there and we're looking at it and we're like, yep, that's going to look real mean. It's going to look good. And it was just sitting there and then we're like, oh, we'll put it back in the box. And as we went to go over to put it in the box,
Hey guys, I have Jim Flanders, Brothers Trucks on. Jim, what's the latest?
It's the same old thing over here. We're grinding away, selling truck parts, and really focusing on our YouTube channel.
The cool thing is, myself included, I'll check that channel out. It's a great customer service, a benefit to us. When we buy something, we can get in depth and know a little bit more and know the ins and outs, especially to watch it even before you go to install the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And we built a tech center in the back of the warehouse, so we literally bring in new products, we'll build them onto a truck or put them onto a truck, and we can see instantly how much work it's going to be, how easy it is. And we put that out to our YouTube channel so people, like you said, they'll be able to look at it and go, you know what, I can do that job in a day or I can do that job in an hour. And it basically just completes a whole package of not just selling the product to a customer, but really backing them up when it comes to showing them how to do it and just making sure that they've got everything they need to get the truck back on the road or keep it on the road.
Like I said, I've watched it myself. I love it. Now, I heard you're rearranging some stuff over there. What's going on in the warehouse?
Yeah, we actually, this last year, we've been building a ton of inventory. And for a long time, we've always said, if you don't have it on the shelf, it's hard to sell it. People want to have it on the shelf. They want to know they can call and get it out the door that day. So, we're just trying to be more efficient. We're trying to have more inventory on hand. And, we've done a really good job at building inventory over the last 25 years. So I think that's what's putting us in the lead in this truck market for sure.
I totally agree. Brothers Trucks, you guys, for all your Chevy and GMC truck parts. And don't forget, they're putting new stuff on their YouTube channel all the time, so check it out. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
With a company history dating back to 1949, Airlift Performance brings a dedication and expertise to those looking for a life on air. Their 3H system combines pressure-based control with ride height sensing technology, harnessing both systems, including an intuitive handheld controller providing at-a-glance status of pressure and height conditions. Every 3H system comes standard with Bluetooth technology built right in, and a free companion mobile app allowing wireless control for most smartphones and mobile devices. Designed for a life on air. AirliftPerformance.com. Hey guys, I've got Kathy White, Classic Performance Products, CPP on the line. Kathy, how's it going?
Hey Ronnie, what's up?
What's up? What's new?
We've got a ton of things for the C10 community. First things first, our 2.5-inch Extreme X10 drop spindle. So we've upgraded the current modular spindle to modern technology. This new X10 spindle is a one-piece forged, but it utilizes strong, modern, bolt-in, internally sealed bearing hub assembly. So it's low maintenance. It doesn't move the wheels out, and you can use big brakes from us or any aftermarket big brakes out there in the market.
That's awesome. What else is new?
So we have actually gone back and redesigned our aluminum fuel tanks. As you know, our fuel tanks are the thickest, strongest, and largest capacity in the industry. But now you can actually use the same tank for either a carbureted or a fuel injection application. 63 to 72, it's 20 gallons, and for 73 and newer, 22-gallon capacity.
How about that Coilover Kit? You guys must be killing it with that thing.
That is such a great kit. It's fully bolt-on. It's easy to install. Strongest tubular arms in the market, available with either upper and lower or just the lowers or just a coilover kit by themselves. All the mounting brackets that you need, and it also comes with dual adjustable coilover shocks. So it's really responsive. It's up to you however you want to tune the compression or the rebound. It's perfect if you're just cruising on the streets, and it's proven on the track.
Well, that's what we like. So if you need spindles, the new X10, fuel tanks, coilovers, they've got it. Classic Performance Products, CPP. And don't forget, use code C10TALK, C10TALK at checkout and save 10%. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Ronnie.
We're like, oh, we'll put it back in the box. And as we went to go over to put it in the box, it slipped off. It just slid off the front of the truck and just smashed on the ground. Right before our eyes. And,
oh my God.
And I tell you what, we didn't even talk to each other. We just picked it up, put the rest of it in the box, and he went home and I went home.
Here, let me see if I can do this. If this works, I don't want it to be too.
Yeah.
You guys were like, "Fuck."
Yeah. So that was one of the opportunities that came about from the Instagram page. Was the Fessler guys sort of gave me a pretty good deal on that. So then I had to work with my insurance company to get another one, and got another one out here, and it turned up cracked. So this was like,
hold on. Oh, you guys are, you're like, no way.
I think I ordered the first. We ordered the first one because I did the back glass as well, so it's got the flush mount back glass. I think it was like the end of September or October 2018 was when I ordered the first glass, and I finally got the third one in March 2020.
Wow.
So just before COVID.
If it takes that long, 8 months, was it 8 months almost every time?
Yeah, well, by the time I got around to getting the third one, they were actually on back order, so I had to wait a bit longer. But so it got to the stage then where the whole truck was done and it was just missing a windscreen. So I could have put a normal windscreen in it, but you'd waited so long. It's like, don't want to debut it or release any photos of it without the look,
Yeah.
Also did the one piece products side window, so the whole thing is like all smoothed out, and just those little details I think that sort of take it to another level.
How'd those work out for you? Even before the podcast, I've just usually when I interview people, they struggle with those.
Well, as I said, I'm not really mechanically minded, but my friend Corey, he was the man that helped me out putting those in, and they went not too bad. Just the felt, just the rubbers, where you got to glue them onto the door frame.
The belt molding right at the lip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a little bit hard to get that right, and they're not perfect, but no, other than that, they were right. Yeah, there's a little bit of cutting involved, and
yeah.
Well,
they're clean. He's showing us the truck right now. They're definitely clean, and that one piece, flush mounted windscreen in this case looks absolutely gorgeous. So check out Fessler. He also likes to post some fine looking dames.
Yeah, I think he's taking inspiration. He's taking inspiration from my page, I think.
He definitely posts up some hot. He posts up some hotties for sure. I think his might go just a tad further on the, risque, where yours might be a little bit more the backside.
Yeah, he might need to post a few more windscreens.
He don't care about they're back order, bro. He doesn't care. He knows he's gonna ship them out to New Zealand. He's like really? He's like, this guy's trying to get 3 for the price of 1 out of me. I can't imagine what you felt like when it was cracked, because to drop it and just be demoralized and so frustrated, and you probably wanted to punch something. And then when the second one shows up and it's cracked, you're just like, how can this even be? How can this be? So,
yeah. Well, I guess the first one was our fault, and the second one was the shipping. The people that packed the shipping container, they took responsibility for that. So, yeah, but I tell you, when that first one hit the ground, it was a pretty sad day. So,
yeah. Any other big struggles or decisions even that you had to make that you kind of had to work through?
No, just the the time frame was probably a bit longer than anticipated. The first couple of builds we sort of smashed out in like a year to under a year, and this one it was about 5 years all up. So it was quite a for a guy that's got an Instagram page promoting trucks and not being able to post your own truck for 5 years. It was a bit hard, but massive thanks to Jason and Corey really for getting the build on track and finishing it off, because there was a few times there where, especially when we made the decision to make the new rear tray and all that, that just took everything to a whole new level. There was a whole new level of work that needed to be done to do that. So yeah, massive thanks to them for pushing me through and getting it done, because I think the end result's definitely well worth it, as it's shown by the fact that it's being chosen for these magazines and stuff. It's just like very humbling and mind-blowing to be a guy in New Zealand that's on the third issue of Truck Hub, and people back here that aren't into trucks, they just do not understand what that would mean to myself, and when I got that message from Rodney and the guys, and I texted to Corey the next morning, he was like, holy shit, this is just out of control, so just makes me want to get these borders open and chuck the thing in a container and come over and hang out with you guys and do some shows.
Yeah, do a coast to coast. That'd be pretty radical for sure. But you have a show coming up like tomorrow, right? You're getting ready to leave.
Yep. Yeah. So it's definitely not a truck specific show. It's more of it's a hot rod show, a classic car show sort of thing. Majority of the vehicles will just be standard sort of Ford Mustangs and Camaros and stuff like that, but there'll be a bit of modified stuff there, and there's, for New Zealand, there's probably 1,500 to 2,000 cars will be there, and it's at a real cool beachside town. It goes for about 4 or 5 days, and a few cruises during the day, and then a few beers at night, and yeah, should be a good time. Got a house booked and got the family coming up and a few other friends, so yeah, looking forward to it.
Good. Yeah, I think people will probably be around it all the time. I'm sure when you do take it to shows, back when you were going to shows, people are around it even on version 2.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, and I guess it's at a level where people potentially see it as a show-only vehicle. So, when they see it out driving or doing the odd burnout or something like that, I think sort of blows their minds a little bit that it actually gets hammered on.
Yeah, for sure. So going back to the truck and some of the mods, one of the big things on the Square and with Orange Slice and even really Yellowstone, my last two builds, the front bumper sticks out too far. Did you guys pull that back a scotch? When I look at the pictures, it looks like it is, but it could easily use a 2-inch. I know the Roadster Shop C-, which is Sam's, I've asked him, it's sucked back, a scotch because the damn bumper sticks out too far.
She sucked back, all right? I'll try and.
Oh yeah, she's way back. Okay, cool. Yeah, you need to post that. Oh my God, right. Look at that. So for the audience, from the audio perspective, he's walking around. He's got the truck in the background, and that front bumper is pulled really tight, and then that valance, and then they actually cut out where it looks like they almost used an 81 through 87 front bumper, and then they might have cut it around. Hard to say, but yeah, she's gapped.
It's the 79 bumper, and that's chopped in half and lengthened.
Okay.
And then I don't know what you call that panel behind the bumper, the one that comes down under the bumper.
Yeah, just that little valance there.
Yeah. So that's been cut and widened as well, so that it comes right underneath the bumper. Because otherwise, you get that sort of gap down there. You can normally stick your finger down in there. So even when it's pulled in, you could reach in there. So that's all. That's the details that people, unfortunately, in having a smaller truck community in New Zealand, they just don't sort of understand that sort of stuff. They just look at it like a lowered truck, whereas every single thing on this thing's been chopped and modified. And yeah.
Did you ever follow, or have you followed? And if you haven't, jump on the build forum, which is going to be your 67 to 72 Chevy truck forum, although there's square body stuff throughout there. But I just had him on a few months back, but Leisure Suit. Did you ever follow that build?
I listened to the podcast.
Oh my God. If you get a chance, jump back to, it's reminiscent of what you've got with Jaw Dropper, because all the little mods that they did on the engine bay and the bumpers and the pieces and every little piece that goes together, like you were saying, if you have to take something apart, and just the way there's no gapping, or really no space, unturned, it's just like every little piece. And I can tell too, just looking at your truck, the way it's been gapped. You don't have any handles. Is it all solenoid based to get in and out?
Yeah, just old school solenoids, pulling the cable to pop the doors open. So yeah, it makes me a bit nervous sometimes now with the one piece wheels. Before with the quarter windows, if you needed to, you could get the credit card out and slice them open to pop the door open. But
yeah, you and somebody else too, so it works.
Yeah.
It works out. Is there anything that you would change now that you've done it? Is there anything that you look back and you would have done different?
Probably just, as I mentioned before, was probably just buy a chassis, like just buy a Roadster shop frame and deal with the legalities back in New Zealand of making it legal. But something like that, even freighting it to New Zealand and dealing with all that is just so cost effective. You can buy them rolling with the brakes and third member and everything ready to go. So probably doing something like that rather than, creating your own forelinks and doing control arms and everything like that. And of course the ride quality is always going to be so much better than a chopped up standard frame. But
when you got it back in 2007, how was it from the rust perspective?
Yeah, no, it was good. Yep. No rust. It's had a couple of little bits and pieces that were obviously fixed up during the way, but no, rust wise, it's all good. It's pretty clean truck.
Cool.
Not too sure on the history of it or where it came from in America before it came to New Zealand, but yeah, it obviously to come in with that paint job and stuff on it, it's obviously had someone look after it a little bit along the way.
Okay. Is there anything left to do, like stereo wise or interior wise? Is there anything, or is it completely done?
Oh, you never say completely, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, you really don't. You get like 92%.
I've done, or even since it was photographed for Truck Hub, I've done a BBT Fab. I don't know if you check them out. I've got one of their billet rear view mirrors. and they did the little replacement indicators and for the I Did It steering column, the little levers. So they're all
turn signals.
Turn signals. They're all square shaped. They're sort of like square shaped now instead of round. So got those. So I'm sure as people release new parts and stuff, I'll probably jump on board and grab something here and there. But no. Otherwise, it's all good. Like it's an old school small block engine. It's still carbureted. So I like that. I like having that. Like keeping it old school. It's got no heat. It's got no air. It's just an old school. It's not trying to be a bloody daily driver or anything like that. You drive it and you're driving an old truck, which is how I feel it should be.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I get away with no air if I brought it over your guys' way. I'll have to figure something out there.
Yeah, I guess in the summer, if you don't have air. But you know what? We have as a kid, we just call it back then we used to call it 240 air. Now we call it 260 air, and it's like, hey, just roll two windows down and go 60. I will tell you that the wing windows make a very big difference when you are hot as hell, because you just get that breeze. I remember we did the Run to Brothers. This has probably been, 5 years ago. And I was trying to interview, I think it was Broy at the time. And I was trying to interview one of the guys. It might even have been Sam, but it was so noisy that I said, well, let's just roll up the windows. Well, we leave Arizona and we go to California, and it's like, let's just say June 10th. It's ridiculously hot. And so we were rolling up the windows so we could do some audio recording, and it was just hotboxing ourselves. And then we rolled down the windows, and it felt great because we were like in a sauna, and then we rolled down the windows and it would just be hot air blowing on us, but it was still hot air blowing on somebody who was like, we were drenched. So it felt good. But I think
I might have listened to that one actually.
Oh, it was so loud. And then I'm like, well, let's roll up the windows. And then we rolled down, like, okay, it feels so much better. But as a kid, I didn't have AC, and that's kind of a rite of passage. It's like, hey man, you're gonna just learn how to deal with it without the AC. And nowadays, hardly they don't make too many vehicles without AC. And then Vintage Air has, and there's so many other air, companies out there, but they make it so nice. What would you say is like the medium temperature over there?
Probably, I don't know what it'll be in Fahrenheit. I could probably look that up. Probably not very hot, like 20 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, I have no idea what that. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit.
I'll have a quick look at.
You got an app on it. 70 to 80 is like primo. Anything, we get in the 90s, but Phoenix, we get to, we'll get to 115, but it is dry.
Yeah, like say in the middle of summer, it might get to like 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. Does it get cold or no?
Not too cold. No.
Wow.
No.
So you don't have a big swing for temperature.
No. Beachside town, it's pretty.
That's why people want to move there. They want to live there. Now, is it true that if you're from the States and you want to move to New Zealand, you have to prove like that you have a job, or I know there's something, right? You can't just move to New Zealand.
Yeah, no, you must have to get a visa or something, I guess, right? Unless I think you could do like a visitor visa like we do if we come your way.
Well, I think though, but then I think if you like wanted to move there, you have to like prove that you're going to have a job, or there's something where, they're kind of limiting. It's like, hey, we just don't want everybody moving to New Zealand.
I'm sure there'll be some firefighter jobs down here. You'll be all right.
Oh shit, yeah. I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire and move to New Zealand and just take care of your truck. Just take care of jaw dropper. So jaw dropper's about done. What does the family think now that 3.0 is done? Because you've had the truck longer than you've had the kids, really, right? So
So my youngest boy's just turned 6. So he had actually never been in it until it was finished on this version. So they're into it. I guess the issue we've got now is that there's 4 of us, and it's really only a 3-seater. So it's a little bit tricky going for drives. You sort of can get away with it. Put the lap belt over 2 people.
Yeah,
if you need to.
Yeah. You can't throw them. Can you throw them in the back?
No, not on this one. Cover them in a microfiber, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe you guys could put the snaps. Do you remember those? That was a thing in the States in the 70s and 80s where guys would put little snap buttons in either the cab, mostly on the bed, and it would go. I have a truck right now that has them. I have my first C10 ever has them on the inside of the cab, and on another truck that I'm getting ready to sell, it has them on the bed, and they're like little snaps, probably every 6 inches that they drilled snaps in, and then they would get a kind of a vinyl pleather cover.
Like I think we call them like tonneau covers.
Yeah, tonneau bed cover, something like that. Yeah, you could throw the kids in there. They might suffocate or carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide in this case. But what happened to the kids? So what about Mama? I mean, Mama's been around. She's seen 3 phases of Jaw Dropper.
Yeah, she's a big fan of the late 40s Chevy trucks. So yeah, she's pretty keen on one of those on those, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see how we go.
Is that next? So you're gonna go from Jaw Dropper to Panty Dropper, or what's the next? What's the your wife's truck is called Panty Dropper. Yeah, that'd be nice. Get a little Tri-5. Get one now because man, they just keep going up and up and up. I can't imagine.
Even on this, the prices of just square bodies is just going ridiculous. You see some of them, what they're selling for over there. Yes.
How's crazy. The market over there? Is it pretty crazy over there?
It's not too bad. Like you might pay just for a very average square body, like totally sort of stock sort of thing. You might pay about 20,000 New Zealand, which I mean, what's that? Probably 10 grand American.
Is that an easy thing where you can just get on your version of eBay, Craigslist, and they're in abundance, or no?
Yeah, you jump on there. There'll be 10.
Wow.
Probably. Wow. Yeah, and someone's bought them in and got them road legal and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, but they'd be pretty average.
Yeah, sure,
quality, but there'd be a driver.
Yeah, and that's the fun. That's the fun of it, right? So you get to modify it and make it the way you want. What if you were to do another one, would you keep Jaw Dropper, or would you sell Jaw Dropper? Would you just pick up another, because it takes so damn long, I mean, you could buy another project. Is that something that you've thought about, or like, hey, I just want to enjoy this one?
Oh, I definitely want to enjoy this one. I can't really see it unless someone offered me like crazy money for it. I can't really. Well, when I say crazy money, probably at least the money that I've invested in it, which would be crazy money. Mm-hmm. I can't see myself letting it go, and to probably maximize, what you want to get for it, it would have to be sold. You'd have to sell it in the States. You're not gonna get that in the market in New Zealand. But I think if I was to build something else, I would probably just do like a chassis, like we said, and then I'll just buy, like you can buy basically new cabs on nearly every model now. I'll just do that, buy the cab, buy all the new stuff, and then it's just seems a lot easier, You're doing a custom interior anyway, you're going to do a custom engine bay anyway, you're going to do a custom bed, just you can buy all that stuff and just ready to go. So by the time you import a truck in from the States and throw half of it away and got a potentially rusty bloody crap lying around, so
never really thought about it that way. That I mean, I have, and we see that even in the States. But for you, it's like that's a whole step I don't have to deal with by shipping it in a truck. I don't need to do it. I can ship in, piece by piece, kind of a Johnny Cash, one part at a time. Get yourself your chassis, and then your cab, and then your doors, and is there parts available that are like at a wrecking yard or anything like that?
Yeah, parts wise is not too bad over here. There's always the little things that you need, like a windscreen rubber or something, and no one has one, and you got to bloody order one off Summit and DHL it in or something, some ridiculous price. But I just look at someone like Premier Street Rod or something, like you just get one of their cabs and a chassis and ship it to New Zealand, and shit, the project's nearly half done. Yeah,
and then put it all together, assemble it, and have yourself a like you said, the weather stripping, all the little things, the door handles, and get your catalog together and put it together.
Yep. Because it's just the freight bringing stuff out here. It's just crazy, ridiculous pricing on freight.
Well, and it sounds like it takes a long time too.
Yeah, smaller stuff isn't too bad, but if you're putting stuff in containers or sharing containers with people, it's sort of
What about like we have Amazon? Are you able to jump on Amazon and the turnaround for us? I don't even want to tell you how ridiculous it is, but if I order it on a Monday, I'll have it usually by Friday when it comes to Amazon. I mean, some stuff comes that day, that day or the next day, and for the most part, you'll have it within a week. Now this is just, I'm not talking truck stuff. I'm talking just generic stuff. Truck stuff right now in the States is way bad. 3, 4, 5, 6 months because of the back ordered and the COVID, and everybody bought everything up, but everybody, you can't get shit right now.
Yep. Yeah, we can access Amazon and stuff, but the speed's pretty good. It's just the freight charges just add up after a while.
Yeah.
Like even getting magazines and stuff out here. Like I think I ordered a copy of Street Trucks the other week that I was missing, and it was like $6.99 American for the magazine, but then the freight was like $20 American, like to ship it out here, like just stuff like that. It's just like, it is what it is, that's the cost.
That'll wear you out. How's fuel over there? So like for your truck, like an unleaded, for us, it's like an 87, 89 or 91, 92 for the octane. What's like a gallon, or do you guys do liters?
Yeah, we do liters. You're going to make me do the conversion, eh?
Well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because when I was in Canada, I went up to Canada to visit Stickle Digital C10, and I remember just pumping up, and it's crazy how fast the liters are. It's like think, because we put, for like Orange Slice, it's 16-gallon tanks on each side, or Yellowstone, normal long bed square bodies 19 on a side, or your truck's probably a 16, and so 16 gallons, and then I remember when I was filling up Stickle's truck or something, I was like, it's just like 40 liters, and you're like, holy shit, it's like, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I think about 4 liters as a gallon.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause of quarts.
Yeah. And a liter of gas over here is about $2.50. So
$10 a gallon.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh, when we get to $3, it goes crazy around these parts, right? In Texas, if it gets to seems like if it gets over 2, because they're so spoiled, because they have so much fuel in their own state. Now, California, it's $4 or $5. And in Phoenix, I'm trying to think of, what I paid the other day. I filled up Orange Slice, but I think it was like $2.20 a gallon. And we feel like that's getting, I don't know. I don't know. We're spoiled, I guess. To think that we'd pay $10 a gallon. How about oil and stuff like that? Is it, when you do your oil change?
Yeah, no, it's all relatively inexpensive. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you got one rad truck. You're on the cover of the upcoming Truck Hub issue 3, and it should be in at least our mailboxes in the States here any day. Hopefully, our audience is taking advantage of the different promos they've offered. I think they've offered I think it was a 10 and a 20, or use C10 Talk, and it was 20% off. I'm not even sure if it's still active, but that issue 3 should be coming out any day. Anything else to add about, just being a guy that lives in New Zealand, and you get to watch what we do over here, the crazy Americans? Anybody you look to that's a big, inspiration for you? Somebody who's on social media as much as you are, a builder that you really like, or a truck that you really like?
Yeah, well, I guess that's the benefit of social media, isn't it? It makes the world a smaller place, and definitely got lots of inspiration from builders in America and even videographers and photographers and stuff. And like even I had Brian from Grinder. He was in New Zealand like back in 2014 and shot my truck, which at that time for me was like pretty amazing, because it wasn't that far before that he had done what I classify as probably one of the most iconic photos. Was the one of Pony's C10 Lucy.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember the shot. It was like a shot from the rear with the sun setting in the background and like the 26s just tucking hard. And for me at that time, that was like, fuck, that's street trucking, that's just like, that was crazy. And then he came out here and shot my truck. So it was just like, just things like that have like motivated me to take the build to the next level, to try to sort of meet the levels that I've been looking at, but also like hopefully inspire like kids and whoever else to like, get into the scene as well. But I was actually wondering if you'd ask me this question. So I cheated a bit and did a bit of research and wrote down a few names and bits and pieces when I was at work the other day. But
you've listened to enough pods, hey, he's probably going to ask me what's a truck that he likes or a builder. And one thing we have in common is Brian ironically shot both Yellowstone and Orange Slice. So that's kind of a cool thing. I love Brian, and I love that he's really trying to challenge himself and become a better photographer. I know Kevin Aguilar, former Street Truck editor-in-chief and now Fuelish Media, he's really, I feel like Kevin takes great photos, and I know that Brian's really worked hard to be a better photographer and videographer. And so that's cool that he came out and shot your truck.
Yeah. Well, that shot of that C10 Lucy, it's just, I don't know if your listeners just need to like find that, go to Grinder TV's page. I'm sure it'll be somewhere.
We'll pull it up and we'll have to post it, because he's got Lucy and Mary Jane, right? Which is the Blazer, the black Blazer. I think Cheyenne bought the Blazer. Cheyenne is Cheyenne Lord, who had the Diesel Brothers truck, the turbo diesel truck. He sold that at Barrett Jackson a few years back, but he had bought Mary Jane from Pony too. So prior. But what the hell was I going to say? So you were saying about the shot and the truck and the photographer, some guys that have motivated you.
I guess I jotted down a couple of them, in no particular order, but Chassis by Aaron was like the originator for me, like all the builds that he was doing, and especially when he built the show, which I know you've been, lucky enough to see in person with Switch and they're having it. But I was lucky enough to go to his shop in America in 2010 when it was just been finished, and I'd just been reading the trucking magazines where it was like a 6 or 7 part series as he built it, So that whole style, I guess, sort of motivated when you asked earlier about like style and motivation and stuff, like clean paint, perfect starts, big billets, like that's just the style that I'm into. All the Rayner Brothers stuff, Sibling Rivalry was like, one of the baddest squares to come out like so long ago and still would hold it. And I'm pretty sure they're rebuilding it at the moment, but like that was just, you could have that truck as it is today and bring it out. And it's 100%. Like, so that's the kind of thing I go for, is like that timeless build. You can pull it out in 10 years time and people are just going to be freaked out. Paint by Lee, or Lee Milnich, his C10, if you know that one. He's friends with, he hangs out with like Pony and that.
High quality builds.
Yeah. So although I think there was Pony, and then I only know his Instagram handle, Autobody Ray. He had Minty.
I have to look at it. It is Autobody Ray. That's his.
I think so. Yeah. I'll just look it up here quickly. It was that 6772 C10 mint green, big race lines.
Oh yeah, he's in Cali too. He's over there.
Yeah. They're all
they're all over there.
Yeah. So all those 3 trucks, those 3 guys, that was all.
Yep.
Yeah. All Dalmo stuff, obviously.
Oh yeah, you had posted that truck, I think. The Autobody Tech Ray. Yep. Yeah, he's at the Lewis Milnich. He works there, and I
think it's been sold a couple of times since he had it, but it's like if people go and look at those trucks, they'll understand like why my truck looks like it does, because it's sort of motivated by that, nice bright paint, one color, everything shaved and smoothed and tucked in and just slammed on the ground, and with a fair amount of dish under the back end. So.
It's funny too. I remember Dell saying that, I did a 2-part, way back in the day. And I remember Dell saying, if you build it and you tuck it away for 10 years, a guy can open up the the garage or 20 years, and it's timeless. And when you talk about like the Rayner brothers, and you talk about sibling rivalry, and you talk about, you know, that being on street trucks way back in the day, and you can bust that out today. And Hills is no different, you know, Jason from Hills Hot Rods, some of that stuff. It's funny, it's such an 80s vibe or 80s 90s vibe, and now it's, I mean, you drop that out, it's back.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing that I struggle with back here, is especially even the Hills guys, that red and black square body that they did way back in the day. Like, they just need to they need to put some more photos up of it, because there's not enough. You know, you just can't find that content on the internet because Instagram wasn't around when they released it, and it's like, you just hope that they'll bloody put a bit more stuff up. But
you need to let them know. And that's another thing I think you do a good job, and make sure we let our audience know, if you don't follow Low, Fast, and Famous, jump on, because he doesn't put up photos that aren't high quality. So there's a taste there that, you know, it's got to meet Matt's, you know, it's really got to meet your check off. It's got to be a high quality pick. And do you get people that hit you up on your page and they send you a bunch of stuff and you're like, come on, dude? I mean, because I get people who send me stuff and I want to post their stuff, but then you have such clean pictures that people will send you, or you can take, and you're like, dude, this is what I need from you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And yep.
Yeah, and I get plenty of DMs with people like looking for me to post their stuff, and it's just normally go back to them with a bit of feedback. Or lately, I've just been pushing them into my story. I get into the stories, I guess, if they put in, you know, they spend a bit of time on a build, but it's probably not quite. I generally just post stuff that I'd like to own. Like, it's that simple. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, not trying to be a dick or anything, but that's sort of the metaphor for, apart from the women, obviously, but, you know, like the vehicles and stuff, I just post stuff that I like. So, and that sort of drives why my truck looks like it does, because if you look at anything that's on my page, it's sort of where it all sort of comes from.
Well, and kicking over to the other side of the coast in Pennsylvania, you've got Heart Fab, and I saw you and I both posted his latest stuff. His stuff is off the charts. So clean, just crisp and clean, and no caffeine. I wish there was more Joshes around, because he is a high quality builder doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, well, I actually had him jotted down on my list, and of course, Lethal CK, like when that came out, and then On the Grounds F100 came out at the same time. You know, like all of that stuff was just like, for me, was just like crazy builds, and his engine bay in that C10, you know, that motivated me to just keep pushing my one to the level it is, because this was insane.
Yeah, you can see where your inspiration has come from with that, because, you know, that's one of those things where we see that, and then, you know, that's not something that some people are willing to put in the work on, or put in the time and the money in something like that, and that's where your truck has that. Jeff's a good dude too, man. He builds some high quality stuff. I feel like his Square, which was the Lethal C10, that was supposed to go to SEMA, and it didn't go. And I think that's the year that they put the flying brick in Acura's booth. And, and I felt like that was one of those weird times where I feel like just the world, if he would have got that truck in, it would have changed some things, because that truck was so off the charts, and it just didn't make the cut, or they didn't put it, or whatever. And I love that truck. And then he sold it. Yeah,
I think from the post that from what I've been seeing on Instagram, I don't know if he's regretting that or not. I've seen a few comments here and there that he's, and that's like all of those trucks that we've just talked about. That just, for me, that just makes it seem even so much crazier that my truck's on the cover of Truck Hub, because I rate all of those trucks like way higher than what I think mine is. They're just like, so I don't really know what the words are there, but it's just ridiculous from my point of view.
I think from our point of view, it's something different, and it's cool that somebody from New Zealand has a square body on the cover of Truck Hub. I mean, that's how I look at it. You mentioned that flying brick, like that's like a Loch Ness monster, that thing, isn't it? Yeah, we don't see it very much.
I want to see it. I want to see it done. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
whoever owns it, finish it.
I think he's getting his parts. He's getting his parts. He lives in New Zealand. He's getting his parts. I think those guys just get busy. I think they get so much going on that they have, it's just one thing after another, and one build and the next build, and it's tough. It's tough. I'm sure. So many different things going on.
He's waiting for his windscreen to turn up.
He's got Fessler on the line right now. Fessler's looking at hot chicks on your Instagram. Everybody's trying to, and then who knows what Jeff's doing, because Jeff's working on the 93 pace that he's got. He's been having that one go for a while, which he's got that on. I'm trying to think I know it's on at least 22s. His daily is on like 26s. Jeff's.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's just dumped all the time, man. And they had a Blazer for a while. But between Jeff and Josh, they are a wicked team. A team that I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say they're unmatched, but between those two dudes, they can build some raunchy shit.
Yep. Yeah. I'd have to agree.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So any other big inspirational builders or trucks that you cheated and jotted down?
Yeah. Well, no, not really. There's plenty, but obviously to be able to, for the listeners that don't know, the Trucker magazine, it's a split cover thing. So one of Delmo's builds is on the other cover. So, that's mind blowing as it is because of the amount of trucks that he's pumped out to the level that they are. So anything that he does, and the square that Trey 5 did a few years ago for I don't know if it's his real name, but is it Bardley?
Bradley.
Yeah, his Instagram's Bardley anyway. So yeah, Bradley. So that's square.
The gold square.
Yeah. That was.
Oh yeah.
Same thing.
Going back to your glass, they did all that glass.
Yeah, all that glass.
Yeah.
One color, real simple yet like popping paint. The stance is just crazy.
I'm trying to think because he is the glass. He's the glass guy's son.
Yeah.
I think
they custom cut all their own glass.
Yeah, and I thought it was Bradley. I could be wrong because
no, it's probably just his Instagram handle.
Yeah,
probably,
but he
different.
I haven't seen that truck around lately at all, really, at too many things. But Jeremy does some amazing stuff too. I mean, they've got a couple C10s, and then again, you want to talk about a wicked team? You put him with Frank, Eye Candy, right next door, and they're building amazing stuff. We're lucky because they're just up the road here. I mean, an hour, but they're in Peoria, which is on the other side of Phoenix for us. But we get to go up there and see 15 amazing builds in their
shop. He does
they've got that watermelon C10. Have you seen the? It's kind of a watermelon.
Yeah, I saw that at the I think it was in the Barrett Jackson Cup.
Yeah, it was in that cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a wicked build too.
Yeah. From the outside, that C10 of Bradley's is just like it's out of control.
Yeah,
it'll be one of his best builds, I reckon.
Yeah,
plus it's got heaps of power too. It's got to have a bit of power. So the big motor in it. That thing.
Be fun to rip that thing around. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're closer than me, so make it happen.
I don't know. I'll ask him. Ask him if he can give me the key. I'd have to sign a waiver. Like, okay, if I wreck your truck, I did see where they were. Those guys, they were doing something, and he rolled a freaking little go-kart today. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on at the alley up there in between the shops over at Trey 5 and Eye Candy, but we got to keep an eye on those guys. So I don't know, man. All right, Matt, I think it's cool that not only do we have somebody, we have people all over the world that are into the trucks and I kind of joke, but C10 worldwide. We have people who are building trucks in New Zealand and Australia and all over. And even for us, I don't look at it very often, but when I look at like where people listen, we have people all over the world that listen. And I think it's important for me and for the community to know that, to know like, hey, we have people, C10 is worldwide and trucks are worldwide, Chevy trucks, GMC trucks. We're not alone. And I think for you down there, it's like, hey, we're spoiled here because I can go stumble out my door and run into another guy and talk about trucks all day long. Whereas for you, it might not be quite that easy. And And when we get around truck guys, I just wrote an article and it's in C10 Builder's Guide, but it talks about your truck friends. So you have your truck friends, your work friends, your high school friends, and your high school friends think, why are you so into truck? Do you post anything besides trucks? And you're like, and your truck friends are like, hey, it'd be cool if you posted more truck stuff, and you're like, and less family stuff. So we're lucky that we have our truck friends and a lot of them here in the States. So I don't know how it is there. It sounds like you got a couple guys that you stay close to. Do you stay close to the guys that, helped you build the truck? And, now that party's over, do you still kind of go hang out at the shop and see what they're doing and check in with them?
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, Jason at JS Engineering and Corey Abbott, who was, Corey was pretty much the person that was inspirational and like dragging the project right through to the end. So, we're good mates. So he's normally over pretty often having a couple of beers. I'm actually picking him up tomorrow, and him and I are going up to that show for the weekend. So, everyone that was involved. Keeping regular touch. We've done 3 versions now. I can't say there's not going to be another one, but we've got a pretty good team that have, sort of created the vision, I guess you could say.
Helped you along the way.
Yeah.
So is that Jason or Jace?
We call him Bogan. So you probably won't get what that means, but yeah, Jason. Yeah.
Bogan or Bogan?
Bogan.
Bogan.
Yeah. So it's kind of like just someone that just lives and breathes cars, and just
he's a Bogan.
He's all in. Yeah.
Oh, he's all
in. The Aussie guys will know. The
Yeah.
Aussie guys, they'll hit you up.
All right. They're like, hey, he's a Bogan. He's a Bogan guy. All right. So that's Jason. He's all about Bogan. I'll get their Instagram. So when I post the episode and anything like that, we make sure we give them the love that they deserve as well. So I'm going to let you go. For us here in the States, it is now Tuesday officially. And I guess for you over there, then it's probably about 8 o'clock.
Yep. 8 o'clock Tuesday night. So
cool.
Yeah. Thanks for staying up late for me. I know you wanted to do this a bit earlier, but I had to work. So
C10 Talk Tuesday is really Wednesday in New Zealand and Australia. All right, I need to know that now. So I need to come up with something corny about Taco Tuesday is really C10 Talk. Tuesday is really something whacked out Wednesday in New Zealand or something. I don't know. We're in the future for sure. So no, we're super stoked to have you on finally and kind of just touch base with you. Congrats on the Truck Hub feature and cover, both to you and Corey. Have a great 5-day trip out there. I hope you win best of show, best truck, best this, best that. Are you driving just the truck, or is that something you trailer?
No, driving it up. It's about, it's not too far away. It's probably 100 miles away from home. So yeah, you'd probably be surprised at the quality of some of our roads if you come over here, but yeah, we get there. It's all good.
Not too good.
Oh, it's not a freeway. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah. So when you came out to the States, you came out in 2010. What'd you think of the States?
Oh, I loved it.
Has that that was your first time, first and only?
I'd been over when I was younger, like a teenager with family and stuff, but I went over for my honeymoon with my wife. So we did a week and a half in New York, and then went to Vegas for a few days, and then spent a week or so in LA, sort of just tripping around, and did a couple of good guy shows, and went to Chassis by Aaron, and
you drug her around to a couple shops, and you're like, hey babe, and she's like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'd only just finished version 1 of Jaw Dropper at that stage. This was 2010, so I'd just finished it, then flew. So probably wasn't a good idea, because it just inspired me to come home and get it all chopped up again.
I think it was a great idea. You pretty much set the marriage right there. So you got married, you had version 1, you had just finished it, and then when you went on your honeymoon, you brought her to the States, you took her to some shops. She knew exactly what she was getting into at that point.
Yeah, to be fair, she knew well before then, but she's Jamie, she's extremely supportive and gets behind me on anything I want to do, and then it goes back the other way too. We just finished building a house, and she's like really into interior design and all that sort of stuff. So she gets her opportunity to use her flair and vision, and did the same in the shed.
You got a beautiful garage to put your flair and vision in there, and everybody's winning. When did you come up with the name Jaw Dropper? Was it version 1, version 2, or when?
It was actually when it was featured, when version 1 was finished and it was featured in the NZV8 magazine down here. That's what they called it when they put it on the cover. They called it Jaw Dropper. So when that came out, I just saw that and I was like, oh yeah, that suits, that fits. It's quite cool. So yeah, bought the number plate for it and went from there.
Cool. Well, send me some pictures. I think you have posted that, or I think it might be in the Truck Hub, but send me a couple pictures of the plate and a few other things, and we'll get this posted up. I'll let you know when the show's going to drop. We appreciate you coming on and taking the time, and congrats on everything, brother.
No, awesome, man. No, I appreciate it. I've been, listening to the podcast pretty much from the start. I think it was Slosh Tubbs, might have been episode 2 or 3 or something like that. So listened to it since then.
You got a good memory. You got a great memory, actually. Sometimes I get confused. I'm like, when did I interview that guy? Oh yeah, it's getting to that. I guess over 200 pods later, and coming up on, we're 6 years into this thing, 7 years. It's one of those things where I try to remember. I'm like, oh yeah, I did interview that guy. Oh yeah.
I guess being down here, as we talked about, we don't have the volume of content that you've got up there. So any little bits that we can grab, we just grab and absorb it. So
don't be bashful. If you've got somebody that you're loving their build, you're loving what they're doing, and you see it, you let me know, and I'll make sure I get them on the show, and we can expand both of our horizons at that point, because it's cool to hear you say, hey, I don't get enough of this vehicle or that vehicle. Well, I want to make sure I'm bringing plenty of pod. He just got up from the garage chair, and
that's the Street Trucks collection. So we absorb all the content.
He sends his he has to send this to his insurance agent to be covered for just years, plethora of magazines.
Yeah.
What's your go-to? So have you checked out the new mags? You've got Classic Truck Performance, obviously Truck Hub, CK's got a new one. Those are the 3 new ones, and then Street Trucks is the OG now that we lost Truckin' and Classic Trucks.
Yeah, basically just Street Trucks and Truck Hub. I'm subscribed to both of them, so yeah, those and the builders guides and all that sort of stuff. I haven't really checked out the new ones just yet, but yeah, they're
pretty good. The color, the quality, the feature for a guy who's looking for more. That's something I'd throw out to you. I get them, and I don't know, now I think print's back, and it's back more than ever, because you've got each one of those magazines, right? So even, Truck Hub was Wheel Hub, then they went to Truck Hub, and now they've got Chevy Hub, and they also had Mustang Hub. And I think the other mags are doing the same thing. They've kind of expanded out a little bit. You've got Modern Rotting, Classic Truck Performance. You've got a few things. So it's definitely one of those things where it's staying pretty busy, and print media is alive, social media is alive, and we're all over, C10 worldwide. So we're getting out everywhere, and I think it's one of those things where it's got to enjoy the time. Yeah, I got to do that too. Get a little picture of the truck in the background, and it's perfect. Yeah, it's almost like we're interviewing Jaw Drop. It's like
if Andy could talk.
Yeah, if Jaw Dropper could talk, we could we'd have a whole nother interview. I'm gonna let you go, brother.
I'd ask it why I didn't catch that windscreen.
I hope you don't crack that son of a bitch. That's a whole different thing, man. If you get behind, like for us, if you get a rock chip or something, you're like, you might. I don't want to jinx this trip coming up. You might want to just call Fessor right now and say, hey, I want to have one. I want to have one on the shelf. So if and when I get a cracked windshield, how does that work? Because you guys are it seems like such a safety conscious. If we get one in the States, they kind of, if you get a big crack, I mean, they could pull you over and say, oh, your windshield's bad or something like that. Do they just put some resin in it and stop the crack?
Just all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I've got a standard one that I could put in there if I needed to.
Yeah.
Because the Fessor ones are just oversized, so they still fit in the same.
Sure. Yeah. They're beautiful. I mean, really, for the audience, I'm sure you've seen them, but if you haven't, essentially it's oversized, so there's no gasket, so there's no front windshield gasket at all. It just goes over like an OBS. You've got the resin that sits on the lip, and it looks clean, crisp and clean. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I will let you know when this goes out. Appreciate you coming on. And again, just keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for, being so supportive and supporting not only the pod, but really your page is, if it's not hot babes, it's some rad stuff. So keep doing that. And I know that that's not easy. That's a lot of work. So keep filtering through all those rad trucks and posting up rad shit.
Cool, man. No, thank you for the opportunity, and really appreciate it.
Okay, bro.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Later.
See you.
Nice work, mates. Way to go. Episode 209, and our first New Zealander. Yeah, I think he is our first New Zealander. Thanks for tuning in. One thing I was going to mention is Aaron Kaufman. We just interviewed him on the F100 pod. So I know you guys might not want to jump over there, but I won't tell. So if you want to hear what's going on with Aaron Kaufman, Solomon interviews Aaron, and that is on the F100 podcast right now. We just dropped that yesterday. So check it out. Check it out. Have a great week. You know the deal. Give us a review, leave us a review, share the pod, support the sponsors. That's all we're asking. It's not that much, really. But thanks for your support. We do appreciate that. Okay? Late.